Alrighty, hello and good afternoon, and welcome to another one of these things. Yeah, long story short, figured I'd go ahead and do a little bit more of this today. So, since last time, there have been a couple new builds that came in. So if you're unfamiliar with this game, the long and short of it is it's basically very similar to if you've ever played Overbattle, which I'm assuming anybody taking a look at stuff here probably has. Now, interesting thing here is it seems like saving anywhere. I could be wrong in this because it's been a little minute since I last loaded this file, but it seemed like I'm pretty sure I already handled the slime fight after this. Anyway, let's actually let's probably look at this guy's stuff real quick. But yeah, 84, 83. I think it maybe I didn't save last time. But yeah, the long and short of it, pretty similar to stuff like Ogre Battle and stuff like that, except turn-based. Basically, you build your teams, you go do fights, you explore around, you do that kind of thing. And yeah, what I do like though, one thing that I really like about this is it's a bit more upfront about the whole, leveling your units a certain way, builds them in certain ways, kind of meta as it were. It's actually one of the things that that really kind of drew me in the first times that I tried it. Essentially, each time you go through your different classes, your characters end up having the option to take certain perks, which essentially allow them to carry over that class to other things, and then they just stack them up and up and up. But yeah, at any point during fights, they can get killed off, and then it's all tragic, and everyone's having a bad day after that. So, anyway, let's pick up one of those. I know I need one of those. Let's see here. I don't know if any item stats have been adjusted. I do remember there were certain things, like, for example, the Warlock robe being pretty crazy, ridiculously strong before. As far as all the different stats in this go, I'm assuming most folks would be watching this on full screen. So the long and short of it there, if you have a class that's of a certain element, having that sort of affinity on an item will make them better. So, for example, most of the characters that use knives are also affiliated with black, so having stuff that boosts that will boost their attack there and make them worse at some other things. It's just kind of a specialization kind of thing. Wait. Apologies, a little bit of a hiccup there. But alrighty then. So, what else do we got here? Probably gonna go Magic Ring for. I think I had a what the hell are they called? I think I had a cadet in here. And, yeah, I think that's what we're going to go with. Hopefully that loud kind of roaring from outside isn't coming through. Apparently, of all times, about 2 minutes ago, they decided to start cleaning somebody's carpet. So, anyway. Ooh. Okay, I think this is new. I don't think this was here before. So you basically get the option to get a slime at this point. One thing I will say is it would be nice for some of these, like if there's just one item, it would be nice to be able to just buy the one item. Because there have been several times so far where it's been like, okay, there's one item, I'm just there trying to click on the very end of it. So just a little bit of a note. So yeah, for any watching this, bear in mind that this is basically a live test of sorts. So, there's going to be all kinds of different stuff going on. See, is it an army battle? Do you have your own city or kingdom? Is it bands of mercenaries? Your characters are, for all intents and purposes, technically, like, kind of sort of outcast royal family members. You start off with a few characters. Mainly, you just run to a bar. Like, these three are your main sisters. They're the core group, as it were. And then your first order of business is basically to take their dog and their fairy friend here, run down to a bar, pick up some local help, so you get a bunch of students and you get a bunch of adventurers for free, and then from there on out, everybody else is a mercenary aside from story characters that you pick up. So, for example, Lucian here. The last time that we were doing this, it was kind of the end of what I would call the first area, wherein their whole home got invaded more or less from another dimension, from what I understand. And yeah, so. Everybody died, because it turns out their dad did some weird time shenanigans or something. I don't know. It's a little unclear, but yeah, anyway, so let's go ahead and buy a dude. Yeah, there we go. Come on, go over there. There we go. Buy one extra guy. So yeah, every time that you hire somebody, they're going to come in as whatever class it is. So like here, there's grifters because we're in the underground. If you're going to the bar up above, there's adventurers in there. Later on, you'll like run into a traveling group of knights, and they have a bunch of cadets that are under their command. So they'll basically sell them to you. By the way, I'm sure there's no downsides as soon as they get back. Like, what happened to our kids? We sold them because we needed food money. But they're training, right? Yes. Yes, they're training. Okay. Good enough. Anyway, so yeah, like I was mentioning with the different abilities here, so like this one's a grifter. So putting on this mask will make them better with blades and arrows, as well as crits and inexplicably leadership. Did they just get a leadership bonus from this? No, they get a crit bonus. They probably get a leadership bonus because they're boosted in black, just because it makes them better in general. So each of your different squads, Mr. Vocal, is, if we go over here to lances, apparently this was actually based off the one of the historical lance terms, or something like that. And right now, I'm kind of running just two large groups here. But the idea is, every time you have a leader, they have a certain color affiliated with them. I'm sure this will be something a little bit more subtle in the future, but for example, this party's leader is a ranger, so she's affiliated with green. Everybody that's of a similar affiliation will be very cheap for her to lead. Whereas if there's somebody that she completely disagrees with, like for example, if you have a bunch of black units, they will not appreciate being led by a white leader, for example. That sounds weirdly racist, but you know what I mean. It's the color. It feels like they need like holy and dark. Let's go holy and dark. Fair enough? Fair enough. So, you know, they have that kind of thing. So like right here, she's that. Apparently she's at 30 leadership. So yeah, you can specifically build your units towards leadership. See, is there any classes starting as TG said? Not exactly. The idea, so far, the idea is supposed to be that you're constantly losing and retraining people, and you're trying to build like a larger and larger army, but you're still losing people over time, and you're still going through that same loop of, oh my god. Oh wait, right, that's a face mask. So this is an old file, and there have been 2 builds since this file. So I thought for a second there was a chick with a beard, but no, that's not the case. Bear in mind with the portraits; these are subject to change down the line. But yeah, what I was trying to do here is actually get everybody equipped, and I keep getting off topic and talking. Okay, I forgot to get this guy pants. I need to get this guy pants, so we're gonna go ahead and do that. It would be nice, by the way, on the equipment menu. It would be nice for escape to be able to function as back for future reference. Anyway, let's see, moving on here. So we got a tinker, and yes, they do basically show up as naked if they don't have anything equipped. That's... do we want to go crit? So this is basically crit and dodge. This is magical attack. I think I'm gonna go magic attack on her. Just, it adds 10, more or less. We'll do that. So yeah, like you have some characters you can specialize in crafting things, so like she's specializing in being an engineer, so she'll be able to build robots and stuff down the line. We've got, what's this guy's whole shtick? I don't remember. So these are, you basically just build up special abilities, and every time they level up, you get a bunch of randomized cards from the skills that they can get as that class. Like if somebody masters a class, they've learned everything. So they've learned everything for that class. With this guy, for example, he hasn't learned very much, so I think I probably only invested his cards into stats. So you can do that as well. As far as overpowered classes, there's no single class that's super overpowered as far as I'm aware. But I was able to find a particular combo that's pretty darn strong because, where are they? Where is my... God, I can't even remember the name right now. I don't brain so good, it would seem. Do I not have an acolyte on this team? I could have... Where are all my dudes? Yeah, it feels like I have way more in this menu, don't I? Maybe I'm overlooking something. I could have sworn I had an acolyte on this save file. Don't I? I guess not. So there's a unit called an acolyte. They can't attack. They can't defend. They're only there as a buff unit. So they basically can stack a defensive buff 3 separate times. So on the first turn it won't do very much, but by the time they get to their third round where it's all charged up, that squad becomes more or less unkillable. So that kind of stuff, pretty useful. So yeah, right now there's an optional fight to go through, fighting some slimes over here, so we're going to go through that. I'm still a little unclear why it is that that this party is different from what I remember. But okay, so we're going to move around the squads a little bit, because I want there to be a little bit of space. This guy over here, it would be nice when they're like this, that it would... Okay, it does tell you. So when you mouse over a guy, it tells you how much leadership it would cost for that guy to be part of the team. So over here it would be 2, over here it would be 3, because she doesn't particularly care for the guy. So if we... How can we adjust this? Yeah, these ones are particularly expensive for this squad, it would seem. So that's what I want to find. I want to find some units that are more expensive for this one than they would be for this one, so I can swap them around. So it seems like this will probably be the only one, so we'll take them out, we'll put this one in. It leaves them with 1 point. Now, is there anyone that would only cost a single point? Probably unlikely. I think they need to be, like, spot on for that to work. Whatever, we're gonna take this rogue out for the moment and put this cleric back in. So, each of the classes will specialize in different kinds of stuff. Like, they all can do one thing, and they all can attack once or defend once per turn. So, in this case, like, for example, a cleric will be able to, just basically throw out a heal. Over time, they'll end up getting something called a Healing Burst, which is a reaction ability that allows them to... Actually, let's go back here real quick. That will allow them to just throw out a secondary heal. So, like, basically, if somebody gets hit, they're able to throw out another heal and that kind of thing. Okay, so return to game. Are we still running into the black window bug? We very well might be. Okay, this is probably from me loading up into an area that's already done. Okay, that's fine. We'll just reload it real quick. Again, that's why. It's right here. That's the save I was looking for earlier. I'm an idiot. Yeah, go figure. The one that says December instead of November. Way to go, smartness. Way to go. What a way to start it. I am immediately blundering this like an absolute moron. Such is life. Such is life. Anyhow, just so you know, by the way, this game's loading times are actually pretty decent. It's just while doing streams and such that you end up running into a little bit of slowness. Just on account of OBS is a bit of a resource hog, so it tends to slow everything down. Actually, that's the only reason I haven't done XCOM 2 so far, because while the thing can run well, its loading times are absolutely abysmal, and that's why I usually did that thing as videos and chopped it up and all that kind of thing. Anyway, so as far as the different classes are concerned, so the way that it branches out, each class can basically promote into something else. When they get a level up, they get some some basic stats for that class, and then they get those cards. Those cards basically say, okay, you can improve this stat, you can improve your elemental affinity, you can improve your weapon affinity, you can unlock a new class, or you can, actually, yeah, it feels like, yeah, so this is the other file that I did here. Rather, the same file, but this is after that slime fight. So it appears if you end up saving after the slime fight, you still wind up in this kind of situation. I think. Let's double check to make sure. Yeah, so this is afterwards. So let's go ahead and hire one new one. Why not? The female sprites look a lot better than the male ones. So we'll go ahead and pick up one of them. Just get one new trainee. Because I ended up taking a couple casualties in that slime fight last time. Long and short of that fight was basically, you fight a few groups of slimes, some of them don't make it back. There we go. Done deal. Is this seriously the same? Yeah, no, it is the same units. This is just post-setup. Cancel that, return to game, stop clicking through menus, and actually progress, you idiot. Come on, I know, I hear it, I mentally hear it. I'm on it, I'm doing the thing. So first of all, does the slime fight reset? Again, this is live testing for this kind of stuff, and yeah, if I go in there, it seems like it either does reset or just does it upon reload. So, maybe not necessarily game-breaking. This actually could be seen as a feature, because you can essentially get a little bit of extra grind fights in before your next boss fight. So here's what the fights look like. All your characters will have different stats, obviously, so they all will be able to act at once. So if there's any unit, for example, that didn't get to attack, if their squad is attacked, they will counter. And yes, I do have an Acolyte. There we go. So that's what the Acolyte does. They basically boost the defense of everybody in there. I think it's like a 20% boost in their defense. But then, yeah, if you give that a couple rounds, they just straight up become immortal. So that one is, like, it definitely used to be crazy before. Like, before they would cast it once, and that's it. Like, they were good to go. At this point, it's a little different because you actually have to cast it 3 times, so there's definitely a little bit more setup involved, so a bit more balanced. I don't know if you'd still be able to accomplish the same result by having 3 of them. So, I mean, maybe I'd have to test that later. So I'm going to have to test if you get multiple Acolytes, if it'll actually stack that defense buff. I'd assume it probably can, because it would just count as a separate action. But yeah, so you've got some that have ranged attacks. Like, sometimes you want to build squads that are mixes of different things. Like right here, these guys are 1 tile away, or rather 2 tiles away. So ranged attacks will be able to work. So we go ahead and do this. We go ahead and snipe them. Casters will attack at the same time as rangers. But I guess I don't know what's going on with that one. I think she might be a healer, actually. There we go. Personal preference, I kind of wonder if maybe you can set everybody up with a uniform like you would normally see in any other SRPG. It is sometimes hard to tell your guys apart, that's for sure. But you do kind of have the option of either you have your main costume, which all of them are going to be using. Like, for example, Warlocks will have their robe, you know, Grifters will have their kind of leather type setup, you've got your Paladins and Acolytes that'll have these kind of chainmail robe type situations. But as you can see here, every time that these are getting hit, they're using up one of those healing bursts, which is kind of that reaction healing ability I was talking about. So you can basically give everybody reaction abilities, and probably my favorite one is one that I think it's the Rangers get, wherein if they see an enemy healing, they will immediately take a free shot at them, which is just like, I love the just like crazy specificness of that. So either way, maybe a little bit of an odd thing here. And by the way, you may have seen here they countered as soon as they attacked because they didn't end up using their attack moves there. It's nifty. It's nifty. I kind of feel like maybe during the intro, it would be nice to maybe just have a little bit of automation in that first fight, if it's possible. By the way, you can see here, double stacked defense buffs at this point, so they're probably just going to take 1s if they take anything at all. But anyway, so that first fight, it would be kind of nice to see kind of an auto battle play out. Like maybe instead of having the player go fight the slimes at the very start, maybe they get a little bit of experience for watching it. But then what they see is maybe the guards going in and they attack, or like they have an archer in the back and the archer fires and then they get attacked and then they counter and then maybe they comment like, oh yeah, look, that's how these mechanics work. Just kind of spitballing on that one, but maybe it's a cool way of doing it. So you can set up traps sometimes, like for example if you set them up, if we put them right here, they haven't attacked. These guys might move 2 tiles and attack, they might just move 2 tiles and do nothing because they don't want to get countered. But yeah. The AI is still something that's being worked on, so yeah, like right there, they decided not to attack. Sometimes they won't, sometimes they will, it varies. I feel like the slimes aren't terribly aggressive. You may notice some of these characters are running dual wield builds. They're not exactly dual wield type situations, it's more like they can equip a second of the same weapon, which allows them to scale their general attack better. So like if they get a color bonus off that particular weapon, their second one will do much better. But it's usually a very minor amount of extra attack that they get off it. So I'm going to actually move these guys right here, so that they can go ahead and counter. And if you tell them, if you push H, by the way, or just use the shield for hold position, any buffs or heals that they can use, they will immediately use as well. So you get a lot of cool little, a lot of cool little features here. That's why I say it's like it's a lot like Ogre Battle in that way. Like there's a whole bunch of background mechanics, and at first glance, it just looks like, okay, you're taking your one massive units and smacking them against the other one, and you're working out that way. But then there's more to it. There's more in there that it takes a little minute to actually see. So I don't know. I personally really love this thing. I really hope that they succeed, because yeah, if you didn't know, there's even kind of a mod type situation already set up for it. So who knows? Might be able to do some extra stuff even if they don't get around to it. This is a pretty small team. They're doing their best. Like, they're doing a pretty fantastic job so far. But indie development and all that. But all right, and there we go. We got a box. Now, I don't know if this cutscene resets. So what we're going to do, we're actually going to save it. Okay, so we got a Shepherd's Crook and Claymore and a Shortbow. Do I have 2 Claymores, I guess? That might be the way to check. So, equipment. I have 3 Claymores, so I'm fairly certain. I'm going to make a note to go double check this later, but I'm fairly certain that if you end up saving in this area, this fight ends up getting reset. So just something to bear in mind. There we go. I'll go ahead and save it in 2 separate slots. And we'll go do the boss fight, get to the new area, and then go ahead and double check on this. So there's the exit. We have a little bit of a cutscene, and by the way, there's going to be more cutscenes going in pretty soon, as well as traveling boss monsters, which sounds pretty darn cool. I'm hoping it'll be more characters with reaction abilities, maybe. So, apparently the idea was to flesh out the world a bit more. And we got more blobs! So yeah, sewer full of blobs. Can't have an RPG without a sewer full of blobs. So I'm actually going to have these guys go ahead and buff themselves. I'm going to have everybody else just kind of wait. The thing is, at this point, you kind of can get yourself overwhelmed because they will attack from the sides. So it's kind of a neat trap that they have set up here, because if you end up... Basically, the direction that you get attacked from plays a big part into this. Because, for example, if these guys are attacked, most of them will focus on these characters right here. So if you have somebody weak in the back, they're going to get ruined right there. Or, it just kind of depends on how it goes. So, like, for example, a lot of the different teams that I use tend to have dogs in the back. So you end up, getting your dogs and everything, and then they're very good on offense, but it sometimes varies on defense. Like, it kind of varies how you build them. Like, early on, the dogs are really weak, but once you get them leveled up, they're pretty horrific. Not to mention they can become really tanky, but dang, your new units tend to get killed off real quick. So yeah, protect your rookies and all that. Yeah, this squad's pretty well, or both these teams are pretty well set up. I could probably be running, maybe 3 squads or so, get that last unit in there. But alright, let's see, is there a recruitment function, or will there be? There is a recruitment function. So, if you mean, like, within the fight itself, it's, you can't recruit out of the fight directly. You basically get reagents from a lot of the characters that end up dropping. So, like, for human characters, you go specifically to tutors that are basically training up, different students and different classes. And so you get them as that class. So, like, for example, you visit the main town at night, and you see a bunch of people training to be grifters, or you go to the bar and you see a bunch of people just kind of lurking for work. Or later on, we'll see like a traveling merchant caravan that's selling night cadets, so that kind of thing. So anyway, so there's basically all kinds of different classes, and then you buy them in base level. Except they come in at classes they may not necessarily have unlocked at that level yet. So you basically just get all kinds of different stuff as far as that goes. For your monster characters, it actually functions a little bit differently. In that, I'm going to go over here. So, like, right here, I can attack both these squads, technically, because I can attack this one. This one will... Oh, wait, right, that's that visual bug. So that visual bug is still there, by the way. Sometimes, on rare occasion, you'll see like where they get attacked, they take a crit or something, and they end up going to a different hex temporarily. Anyway, so yeah, as far as the recruitment function, if you fight monster units, you get pieces of them. You get like reagents and that kind of thing. So for example, with the slimes, you get bits of slime, and then later on you can have a character that specializes in druidry, and you can go and make slimes, as I understand it. I actually personally had not seen the option for slimes. It just came up. That's right, I just bought the recipe for it. So we'll have the option to make slimes there. If you have a character that specializes in engineering, they can make robots for you. If you have one that's specializing in being a necromancer, they can bring the dead back to life. Which, actually, that's another cool thing, that he's planning a sort of revival mechanic of sorts. So I'm assuming this will apply to the undead as well. But later on there will be sort of angel knights, as it were, which if basically your units get killed off, they get put into a sort of graveyard of sorts, and then you can bring them back as undead characters, which I guess would include that. Bear in mind, again, stuff is subject to change if any kind of weird technical limitations come about. And there we go, we just lost a guy. Like I said, you end up losing people pretty regularly. I probably should be more zoomed in on the fight here to make sure that's not happening. These guys are poisoned. That's kind of causing some issues, it would seem, since they are the rookie team, and I'm having them take on the boss. So maybe not the best idea. But oh well. I may notice here some of them are throwing out different debuffs as they're going and fighting. Each class does different things, like I said. So, alright, so let's see. These guys... I'm just going to have them retreat one tile here. Hold position facing this way. And then that way they can both get involved in the fight. So he's going to get sniped at. They're all getting attacked here, as they do. Double crit, anyway. By the way, the sound effects are also currently a placeholder. He has mentioned that he's just trying to find the right actual sounds at this point. But it's kind of one of those things that you kind of want to get the mechanical functions going first, so he's working on those. So, either way, we'll see how that goes. But yeah, so there probably will be a recruitment function of some sort down the line, I figure. But yeah, right now it's kind of sensible because, if you're fighting the guy, you may not necessarily trust them. But if you're going and recruiting somebody, from a recruiter, then you're probably going to be able to rely on them a little bit more, presumably anyway. Especially since the three main characters are pretty friggin' hoity-toity, especially at first. So it's all right. There we go. Just about done here. I mean, boss fight done with one casualty. That's not bad. Not bad at all, I figure. Although, yeah, they're taking a bit of a beating. So, actually, there's one thing that I saw come up in TO modding a fair bit, and that's just I kind of wish that rookies would come in with a bit more health. Maybe not necessarily defense, but just like a tiny smidge more health to keep up with everybody else. Just a matter of personal preference. It's just they definitely feel weak right now. Kind of feel like maybe they wouldn't necessarily die, but they might not be able to fight particularly well. Either way, just a random personal note there. So there we are. By the way, that rage function on dog is nuts. Basically means that dog becomes a friggin' super beast about her hulkiness. Okay, what do you think they are? Go up ladder and look. Jeez. Go up ladder. Oh yeah, I should probably hit the thing. There we go. Funny part is, by the way, if you run around naked, you actually get different reactions from all the different NPCs. Yes, demon invasion, etc. A bit of a problem. Bit of a downside. I'm gonna skip through this stuff, and basically they're saying they gotta go through what is basically a travel gate. They go around teleporting everywhere. So once you get a little starfish, you get your level ups. So here's how the level ups work. No funeral, so sad. He has mentioned putting in like a graveyard function of sorts in the future. So You know, we'll see that. I'm sure we'll see something like that. Like, you know, like random adventurer Bob over here, you will be remembered. That'd be kind of neat. Anyway, so, let's see. Yeah, clerics and gunners, which is kind of funny to see those two in the same sentence. So they scale off of will a little bit. So you get 3 cards here, so yeah, I can get better at hammers. I can unlock cleric for her, which I'll do, because I want to have her as a healer. And probably magic defense, sure, because that stuff hits pretty hard later on. What I want to do is actually get maybe a couple more levels in this for her. They max out... Actually, no, wait, I can't. I can only get 1 more level as this. So they max out at 5. So once they get to class level 5, they only get stats. They no longer get perks. So then at that point you would switch them to another class, and that's how the game encourages multi-classing. So, go here. Nobody else got a level out of that. That's sad. Luckily, we have a replacement rookie right over here. Just go ahead and pop that sucker in there. There we go. Good as new. Nobody died. Don't worry about it. Anyway, as like I was saying, you can actually have everybody run around naked if you want to. Which, by the way, nudist challenge. Probably once this releases, day 1, I'm going to do a friggin' nudist challenge. But anyway, or streaker challenge, as my friend likes to call them. So there we go. They all will act differently and get pissed off if you run around naked. And this applies to every single NPC, as far as I've seen anyway. So, just a funny little note. Anyway, doesn't really make sense to have them run around naked, but they end up dropping off all their clothes every single time they change to a new class. So as you do. Let's go ahead and save down here. And move on. And the town's on fire! So yeah, this is the starting town. It's seen better days. Actually, I kind of wonder if we can go down there, maybe. Is there anything down now? No, because the way's blocked off by fire. Okay, whatever. Worth checking. Can we check out what's in here, by chance? No. That place is all on fire, too. Not my fantasy castle! Okay, so we got the tower or the world gate. If we go to the tower, they'll basically just say, oh yeah, crap, they broke our thingy that prevents people from breaking our thingy. That's a real shame. So we get to go to our travel gate. Let's see. This is MMA flank into chat. Ah, dude, your AC is so friggin' OP during that tournament. It's hilarious. It's just hilarious that he's trying to put in boss challenges at this point, and it's just seeing them all get completely wiped without even a single defeat. It's nuts. It's absolutely nuts. By the way, that last thing he was showing off at the very end, was that what was that supposed to be? Friggin' what's his face? That's at the top of the arena or something? Couldn't really tell. Anyway, so hello, bunch of peoples that just showed up. So yeah, we're waiting for main Shadow World 02 to load. So yeah, you will see the occasional, like, you know, just letting you know what files are loading or whatever else going on in the background. Obviously, like I said, this is still in development. We're still going through all the different stuff there. So either way, there's going to be stuff. There's going to be stuff every now and then. And yeah, so we're just gonna go with that as we do. So, the secondary is the one that I was really trying to show off the last couple times that I tried streaming this. Obviously, we ran into a little bit of a bug with the boss last time. Which, again, that's the point of the testing, you know? You get stuff, you go and you run through a bunch of weird scenarios, and you eventually find stuff that probably may not have initially been tested. Right, Buster is clever about keeping the final fight a secret. He usually uploads several videos ahead of time to private... Oh! Well, I didn't know about that. Although then again, I did vaguely know about that feature. I mean, I regularly see, there's folks commenting on stuff that I haven't even made public yet. Let's see, so they want to lock the gate. So she does some sort of magic-y related type situation, presumably just slaps it and it stays closed for a while. So this area used to be one where you could actually get stuck. Because it had some invisible barrier that kept popping up in front of that little doorway. But it's fine, we can get to Area 2 now. I actually thought that was the end of the demo or something when I originally ran through it. Let's see, that EC at the end was the Dutch Warlord. What is that thing? Because I apparently missed what that's supposed to be. Okay, so they're an outpost of the people that went and basically screwed them over. We're gonna go and skip through that real quick here. Don't wanna run through everything plot-wise, because I think I've done up to this point a couple times now. Alright, so over here we got a little bit of a map. See, it looks like a bunch of maps. Map of Shadowlands that we need to get to the Icy Reach. So, the way that they get around seems to be something similar to the Abyss from RuneScape. It's like they basically just have like, here's a bunch of shadow wormholes that just travel around everywhere, and we just use this for convenience. So it's cool. It's cool. I always like when fantasy settings do that, where they're like, okay, here's this super dangerous thing, but you know what? Instead of being idiots about it, we found a way to make it safe, and we found a way to make it convenient and mundane and everything, and it's good. And this guy basically tells you about the Cannon and Sword, if you want to hear about that. I will be skipping a lot of that stuff. Let me know if there's anyone in particular you want to see talk to. So here's one of our first crafting areas. There were some in the last place. That's actually how I wound up with the second fairy. Necromancer's like, oh no, Necromancer's so bad, so bad, so bad. That's why we have a Necromancer in our basement. So we can make some Skeletors down here. Anyway. So, like, we're the good Necromancers. You need some tools? Yes. Tell me how to make a Skeletor, please. Okay, so, by the way, as of today, apparently the cursed weapons are just going to be kind of just upgraded versions that only undead stuff can use. Okay, so we got a wand, a bone pile, and axe. Okay, I don't have any bone piles. Let's see, to make bone piles, fresh body, necromancy wand. Ooh! Oh, do you get fresh bodies from... Wow, that sounds really wrong to be excited about that, but I'm assuming you get those if you end up losing a character. I'm gonna go ahead and check that real quick. I'm assuming so. That'd be pretty friggin' dark. Alright, come on. Tell me that's in here. Aw, not in here. Well, I doubt they turned into a mystery sausage, so... Darn! Yeah, definitely consider that as an opportunity in the future. So I don't really want to blow the money on doing that, considering I can't make one as of yet. Previously, you used to be able to make a skeleton pretty much immediately. But yeah, you do need some different stuff this time. Let's see, in his pacifist run, Buster got as far as he could. Reached a point and it was impossible to continue. Use the Dutch warlord to finish the job. Whole video. Oh yeah, that thing. Now I vaguely remember. Alright. So here's the second area. It's basically all dead and stuff. But the music in this place is pretty darn nifty. Then you get a bunch of cool new stuff, like you got pumpkins and stuff out here. At least last time I was here it did. So you get all your different... So here's your overworld map, basically. Got all your different stuff here. Now I'm probably going to save before engaging any of these. Just because my team is a little bit underpowered. So, you know, they've got some pretty hefty numbers too. Bear in mind, you do have the option to attack and retreat. So, for example, you can get a bunch of good damage off and then run off. And yeah, I have to say, that seems like a lot of dudes. Maybe let's go this way and challenge this one instead. So they're currently kind of... They're not exactly blocking the way that way, but some close to it. So yeah, this one seems a bit fair to challenge. Like once you get your guys a little bit more leveled up and experienced and all that, you can get away with taking on larger numbers, but these guys, not terribly confident about that. So let's go ahead and take on this one. Alright. There we go. But yeah, I forget, with Buster's run there, when exactly... Let's see. It'd be funny to make a video of Gaudi destroying all tournament ACs. Yeah... I mean, you can probably just... you can probably just put together that video I did a while ago. The one where he went and ruined everything. Unless that's the one you're talking about. I figured you meant the new tournament. Yeah, no, the Gaudi was absolutely busted. No question about that. So okay, what are we dealing with here? So we got a few skeleton archers. This is a fully ranged squad over here. Those might be warlocks, they might be acolytes. And we got a fully melee squad over here. Alright, over here we're dealing with a similar unknown situation with their caster, their mixed squad. So, probably want to take out the mixed squad first. So let's go ahead and send the dog squad out that way, I think. So they're going to go that way. I'd expect to maybe take 2 or 3 casualties from this. This area, it's kind of interesting. This particular section tends to reduce your numbers pretty significantly. Like, usually you won't have enough money to get any new hires immediately, but you'll usually have the option to, you know, do the whole necromancy thing, which kind of makes me think that maybe they're intending to add that whole thing, like where you lose units and you get a body as a result, as a feature. That would be my assumption anyway, because that way that area would make a lot more sense. Like you get through all that stuff, you maybe lose a couple of units. It's like, oh wait, I can replace them with skeletons. This is pretty awesome, kind of thing, you know. It's a big battle HQ. That it is, and yeah, some of them get absolutely huge. Like the boss fight at the end of this zone is redonkulous. Like it's, I want to say it's like I think they have like 30 to 40 units, and most of them are boars. So most of the time you'll end up losing like half your guys. It's kind of nuts. Okay, there we go, and there we go. As you can see there, they're taking a free shot at the first heal that ends up happening. So if they end up taking a second rank of that, they're going to be able to take a second shot at a healer, I would figure. I don't know if they get a second rank. Not all abilities have second ranks. Like, there's a bunch of them that end up getting. Oof. Okay, B-Tag, you have a weird name. But we're going to actually turn this party around after attacking. Don't make me turn this party around. And yeah, actually, skeletons... Yeah, I forgot skeletons had their health really nerfed. Okay, there we go. The party's pretty busted up there. Okay, so I'm going to turn these guys around so that our rookie up here is doing a little bit better. These guys are actually going to come in to finish this one off, because this party is not really going to be doing very much down here. And these guys are still going to attack at full capacity even when injured. So there we go. Also, it appears skeletons don't say anything. All of them will have something, but most of the units will have something that they say if they get killed off. Like the pumpkin guys, for example, will always quote poetry. Pretty neat, pretty neat. See, Man vs. Godzilla-like battle is cool. Exactly, exactly. Also, yeah, Mr. Cow, I'm not even surprised. That thing is insanity. Like, honestly, I really doubt there's very little that... I don't think there's anything that thing would consistently lose to. Just because of how fast and how damaging it is. So, either way, that's why the original meta, or why the original setup for the game was 5v5. Because any one AC can be super overpowered, but they can't... I mean, they're basically, they all share the same part pool, so... they would just end up kind of bizarre, all things considered. So, yeah, they ended up kind of nerfing themselves that way. And it was a good setup. And it's a real shame that the single player doesn't have the option to use that. Skeletons have no larynx. This is true. This is true. How can they speak if they have no larynx? How do the friggin' zombies from Fallout speak if they have no anything? Also, wow, yeah, these guys have some range. I think ranged units have 3 range by default, and I think there's actually a way to extend that as well. I could be wrong on that, but I know there's a way to actually improve their movement as well. You basically have to have everybody in the party go through ranger training, and they have one that improves their movement rate. And if everybody in the team has that, they're able to move 1 tile farther. So you do have some that are like that, and it does follow OB64 rules, where it basically goes on the bottom number of the team. So, like, if everybody can fly, then the entire party can fly, but if one person can't, then they're on the ground. So yeah. Speaking of, if you happen to be looking at the OB64 Mosquito run, I actually plan to be continuing that Mosquito run into this game afterwards. So, yeah, as soon as it properly releases, I'm gonna do a Mosquito run. Hex strategy game, exactly, and it's pretty darn good, actually. So, it's still in development. Yes, I know, Cardinal Sin, I put it in under retro, but it's got a lot of retro style to it. It's as I understand, in many ways styled after Ogre Battle and a lot of similar strategy games, taking a lot of cues from them in terms of what kind of stuff should be going on. So the general idea is, yeah, you have everybody on a hex. The size of the team and how they function is based off the leader. So basically, the leader has to be agreeable to everybody on that team. Ooh, a necromancy experiment out of that. And then you basically are constantly losing and retraining units. So character death is an expected and normal part of gameplay. Actually, yeah, we're probably going to end up losing this one, just because we're vastly outnumbered, but I just want to go ahead and show this one off. Just because, as you saw there, Acolytes, I don't know, I feel like Acolytes need a drop in their defense. Okay, so I'm going to give her ranged attack. This is how level ups work, by the way. You get your cards. You end up getting 3 options from their 15 total cards that they can get. There we go, agility. If I gave her magic attack, by the way, that would just add magic attack to her bow. So potentially more attack there, but it would be a different type of damage. So useful stuff. As to why it's slowing down all of a sudden, I think something started randomly updating in the background. That's what that was all about. So you wonder when Buster made this last see. I mean, he could have found knowledge from watching the tournament. It's very possible. For a minute there, I was a little bit worried that he was just going to put it against the first AC in the arena. Like, man, it's like friggin' baby's first AC could beat that thing. I really hope that Artie or whatever his name is. Also, I have a wolf that specializes in leadership, by the way. This one just started specializing in leadership because they're relatively new. But the other wolf, they actually do have a pretty proper leadership score. But yeah, so this game's pretty darn nifty, like I was saying. Not technically out yet. Sword spec, definitely that. That'll just give him an overall benefit and proficiency with his weapon here. Probably physical defense, even though he's probably pretty good on that as being a knight anyway. And sword spec rank 2, sure. So it's kind of like if you think about Tactics Ogre, but instead of going and grinding the thing up, you basically get the option to specialize it. And then, for example, they get a few ranks from being a knight, but then they max that out, and that's all they're going to get. So they specialize in another class that specializes in swords. You know, maybe they end up going and training it up farther that way. So it's neat how that works. You get all your proficiencies from different places. It's nifty stuff. Alright, so yeah, dodge. Probably want to put Keen Strike on him too. Rangers are the ones that have that ability to attack weirdly. So he bestows leadership bonus to any wolves. Okay, so I'm gonna do that because I do want to have just a party of rangers and wolves later. And bow specialization, which I believe does carry over to crossbows. So I think that's just ranged weapon specialization. And yeah, there's tactical shots, so that's I don't know if it's gonna tell me. Yeah, it would be nice to be able to have like a little menu here where you click on it and it basically tells you what it does. But this is the one that if he sees an enemy healing, he will get a free shot at them. So there's kind of like XCOM-y type stuff where, you know, you just, like, you have a perk that'll activate under these very specific circumstances. It's nice, it's nice. But alright. The last technology game, also Race Soldier. Less customization, more on army battle. Yeah, I saw about that. I'm gonna take a look at that at some point. See, Lost Technology and Fell Seal are two that I've been specifically asked to look at several times. Also, hang on, I'm stepping away for just a moment just to see if that's actually my kiddo, so give me a moment. Alrighty, and back. Sorry to apparently scare everybody off with a pause. It's actually interesting. Oh, crap. Man, this was about to be an interesting fight, too. So, we're about to friggin' die. So here's the deal. Typically in these types of scenarios, the way that you want to actually handle it is you drag down a couple squads there, kind of run them into a corner of sorts, and then just kind of stay within range of your retreat tiles. Now, basically your retreat tiles are your spots on the very end here. So you basically, as soon as you get close, it'll just have an option that says retreat. So, either way. So if you're onto the very edge there, you're basically good to go. So that's basically what I'm going to do. So I'm going to run them down here. Down here, and just face that way, I suppose. There we go. Alright, there we are. So, they're going to go ahead and do their thing now. Now, I believe you can't retreat on the very first round. Just because I'm not seeing them... I'm not seeing the retreat tiles active at the moment. So, there's that. Yeah, so they're going to start bringing down everybody. The whole reason I'm looking for those tiles there is if they start getting crits. Like, honestly, one crit is usually enough to start turning a fight, because then you get one crit, you lose one unit. That the overall power of that squad is down, so you have to start considering whether or not you want to leave. Actually, are there retreat tiles elsewhere? I know on some maps they're in unusual spots. I want to say maybe they'll be over here then. Or they might just not be marked at this point. I'm not sure. Truth be told, I'm really not sure what's up with that. But what I do see is a nice, abusable geographical location right here. So if I move both these squads right here, they can just bottleneck right here, and luckily, these guys have zero options as far as flanking them, so that's what we're going to do. So, I should be able to beat this outright. Thankfully, like I mentioned before, those skeletons, despite the fact that there's a crapload of them, these guys, overall their potential isn't super great. So the skeletons die very easily within 1 or 2 hits. The healers can only heal. I don't believe the options there for acolytes to spawn in with male robes at this point. I think those are all going to be clerics, so either way. One thing that is nice though is that all the different types of units and everything else, they will spawn in with unique faces, so that's nice. You know, it looks nice, feels nice, all that thing. So a guy doing my mod permadeath style is up to the Zigden fight, so any game over equals to get saved. That sounds fun. That sounds like a fun thing to try. I've tried that run several times for Tactics Ogre, and I've gotten annoyingly close. Actually, there was one that got really, really far. I've gotten a few runs into Chapter 4, and every single time it hasn't ended because I didn't have the means to win. It didn't have anything to do with the game itself. It was something stupid every single time. So, like, for example, one of them, speaking of skeletons, I got all the way up to Chapter 4, I beat the Sherry fight. Basically, everything was all set to do the Northern Charge. So, like, basically the last big campaign part of the game, right before Hanging Gardens. And I was all set to go do the temples and do all the optional stuff and get all the upgraded gear and everything. And yeah, then, like a complete numbnuts, for some reason I decided, hey, you know what, I want to show off what this party can do. I'm going to go ahead and run into the wild, into the one map that spawns in with a bunch of undead, very heavy units, go in with a bunch of heavy units, and not bring any means to actually exercise. So they could functionally beat these guys over and over and over again, but they had no actual way to kill them. So, yeah, got everything that far. Still lost it for such a retarded reason. Anyway. See, can Acolyte attack after finish buffing? No, they can only buff. If they have other abilities, like I believe if you have, I think it's like Attack of Opportunity or something, there's a Grifter ability that allows you to attack as a reaction to something else, to attack and knock somebody off balance. Oh, what just happened? Hang on. One quick. What is this drama? Alright, I'm back. So, what I was getting at. So, technically speaking, they kind of sort of can. So if they, basically, if they have an ability that's, or if they have some ability they learned from another class to go ahead and counterattack, then yes, they can attack. It's just basically they can only attack as a counter, but they can't attack it as their main move. But one more thing that should be mentioned is each class has those specific 15 cards that they get. So there's only going to be so many ranks of hammer specialization. So if you have somebody that's specializing in hammers, like let's say you want to build a paladin, you're probably going to bring them up the acolyte path, so you have some hammer specialization going into the paladin kind of thing. But anyway, again, I need to double check as far as what perks affect what, but I'm fairly certain if you have reaction counter abilities, that they are able to counterattack. So there's that. So they're not random, they're just randomized out of the set of 15 cards. Just so you know. Just like originally I thought blade specialization was useless for wolves until I found out that their teeth count as blades. So there's that. Actually, I've asked him on a few occasions now, because there are polearm versions of different weapons, like long hammers, you know, like pole axes and things like that, which I guess pole axes are more of an axe than a polearm, but whatever. Anyway. That's neither here nor there. It's funny. It's weird how poleaxes get portrayed as a halberd, and it really wasn't that long of a weapon. The idea was that they wanted to make a weapon that had a spike, a blade, and a blunt hammer at the same time. That's why it was the quote-unquote knightly weapon, because it let them go and do a whole bunch of different stuff. Also, I'm over here trying to use the controller like an idiot. Anyway, so we're going to slowly whittle him down this way. I'm assuming once maybe some more advanced AI gets going, they'll probably try to pull something a bit fancier than they're trying to do right now. Also, apparently that one ended up getting bit in the friggin' pancreas, somehow. But yeah, there we go. But yeah, if you ever want to see hammer specialization is useless for a class, yeah, cudgel specialization for Terror Knights and Tactics Ogre. Just try to make that one work. Oh man, it's funny. As much as I love that game, it's just like the vanilla version had so many weird situations. Like, just seriously, to give you an idea of what I'm talking about. So, PSP remake of TL. So they still had cudgels, and in the US version, you know, there were just basically lower stats across the board for all your characters for much of the game, because they basically were suddenly accounting the entire balance for all this extra DLC that they added. You know, and putting in like a true ending and all that kind of thing. So yeah, what ends up happening is you have Terror Knights, which are supposed to be a frontliner. They have awful defense. They're supposed to be a debuff unit. They have awful magic accuracy. They're supposed to be a good attacker with almost... They have, like, average at best attack stats. So the thing is, they're usually better at carrying around two-handed weapons, but one of their options is to use maces, which are two-handed, but the thing is, they're awful. Like, they're basically a staff, except with, like, maybe 30% more armor penetration on it. And if you've ever played that game, the staves, they don't really do damage. The idea is supposed to be, you get this thing and it has a good finisher on it. So you specifically use it, like, several thousand times, and then finally you get to the point where, okay, they're able to use this one move kind of okay? So yeah, you basically spent all this time, plus waited for a weapon that only became available about halfway through the game, in order for them to use one particular finishing move. Which, by the way, if you're going for optimal training up to that point... Oh, and by the way, the fairy has force fields, just because. You actually can have different types of... all kinds of cool stuff on your fairies on this one. Like, they get force fields, they get reaction explosions, all kinds of different healing abilities and all that kind of thing. It's nice. It's nice. But yeah, I don't think I've ever seen a more pointless weapon specialization than that. And if anybody's ever found a way to make that, like, actually a viable option, feel free to let me know, because I'd love to be corrected on that one. Like, going back to that game and finding out stuff that, like, seemed to make no sense for not over a decade, almost a decade. And, you know, finally finding some weird, bizarre, actual function behind it. That always was nice to me, but either way. So if anybody knows, feel free to let me know. And no, I don't mean stuff like, oh yeah, you can use the Baldr Mace against skeletons and it does average damage then. No, I don't mean like that. I mean like actually a proper use for it. But who knows? Maybe at some point I'll be corrected on that one. Would love to see that. But yeah, so we got through that thing pretty well unscathed. Again, these parties are pretty well set up at this point. Rookies are kind of a hard thing to keep alive, and just generally spreading your army out is hard to do. Because right now, if I want to train more units, since these guys are capped out, I basically have to split them into 2 groups. This means that I have to, train somebody else for leadership. This means I have to go and make sure that they're actually kept safe during a few fights. And then, they basically slowly form into another squad. And then you're constantly replacing units as they get killed off, because like I said, one bad encounter can completely ruin, you can get 1 or 2 casualties from just, like, for example, that boar fight that's coming up. Boars are not the scariest thing in the world, but the thing is, they tend to crit a lot. And so if you have 30 of them, they're going to just come in and completely steamroll entire parties, especially if they hit them from the side. Because if they hit them from the front, that damage is going to be spread across the front line. If they hit them from the side, that damage is going to be spread along those on the sides. So it's that kind of situation. So yeah, all that kind of stuff. These guys are going to be taking absolutely no damage, though, because they have that triple buff from the Acolyte already going, and I still need to test if you can potentially set up a triple buff from the very first round. Acolytes do take a minute to set up, so I don't know if I have any other ones. One nice convenient thing is you never actually have to teach them new abilities. So, like, for example, their basic job stuff, like whether they be casters, attack, rangers, shooters, whatever, their basic attack stuff they will always have. Their basic buffs, everything else, you turn them into that class, they have that now. So, it's handy. Anyways, there we go. Let's see if we get anything from these Skeletors. And that is a hefty chunk of change. Okay, Sharpo, Cleanse Sharpo. And it cut off before the end of the thing. So let's go take a look at the supplies. Yeah, level ups for everybody. Let's go take a quick peek here. Okay, so we got the slime. And yeah, I don't think we got any bodies or however you're supposed to make skeletons. So let's go ahead and give everybody their level ups. Actually, let me go ahead and save. Yeah, let me save and go check on my kid real quick here. So be right back. Okay, all well and back. So let's go ahead and take a look at these levels real quick here, see what we ended up getting. And it's one of those days when situations certainly occur. Alright, what do we got here? So, yeah, Hammer Spec. I'm going to take Hammer Spec. So here's the thing. As far as weapon specialization and all that, that also carries over to their respective class abilities as well. So, for example, a healer will heal better. The defense buff, I believe, is a static thing, but they get the option to specialize in stabs if they're going to be more of a healer, or they're going to be more of a caster later, and then hammers if they're going to be more of a fighter later. I'm probably going to turn them into a paladin later, so I can go hammer spec, probably heavy weapons and staff spec just to pick up all of it, and then probably go paladin if I have that unlocked. Because if I've already mastered her class, well, there we go. So she suddenly turns into Master Acolyte. So that means there's nothing more for her to do there. So she's going to go to Paladin. We're going to lose out on having a Acolyte. That's kind of the thing with them. They're a very useful class, but you want Pro out of them if you want to actually keep that unit going. So Paladins are, as you'd expect, crazy good. Not to mention she has the ability to heal. So normally they're just a pretty good overall tank. She's actually specialized to do magic damage with a hammer as well. But anyway, so yeah, she's basically gonna do a reaction healing burst. So she's gonna do a minor heal on somebody that ends up getting attacked. So this will stop and all that. Alright, she didn't get anything because she got one last time. What about you? Can I make you a berserker yet? Somehow always make this check a berserker in every run I've done so far. Oh, what's going on here? Alright, and back. So yeah, it should be noted that, yeah, like I was saying earlier, they don't necessarily always get level ups that pertain to their current class. Sometimes you do want to have them do other things. Like wand specialization, not going to do very much for a warrior here, but she can turn into a warlock later. So there's that. I'm going to have her do so. I'll probably take magic attack and go ahead and do that. She's kind of the fighter of the group. She's specialized for heavy weapons, but I kind of wonder what a crit mage build looks like. I'm gonna go ahead and do that. Why not? It's almost maxed out on warrior anyway, so we'll go ahead and go warlock here. Why the hell not? Go, give her an orb, give her a wand and her second hand, and yeah, you can't have them like dual wield stabs. It's pretty awesome. Cat ring, and she's going in naked. There we go. It's funny because in older versions of this, you did have like full-on nudity and everything, but apparently that caused it to get censored, so due to the fact that it would have to go and apparently get filed under, you know, naked games and all that kind of thing, instead they wear undies now. So there's that. Alright, anyway, so strength, the blades, everything else, the usual kind of stuff you want to get for a wolf. Yeah, if you get defense, there's like all your defensive stuff on wolves, they kind of become unstoppable. It's kind of nuts, but yeah, you can just stack stuff for wolves. There's really not much thought that goes into them. They just get stronger and stronger. Kind of like most beast classes in most games. So it would be interesting to see maybe a little bit more stuff coming out of that. But we'll see. Improve healing. Improve intellect, why not? And what else do we got here? Spellcraft, sure. We'll pick up one of those too. Next up, what do we got? Probably something else. Yeah, I'm probably gonna have to wrap it up relatively soon. It's probably within the next 20 minutes here. Because everybody's getting all restless. Ooh, hang on. Okay, by the way, future thing that might be kind of useful here. Maybe a UI option where you can still see their current stats, because it is a little bit hard to tell what their current stats are under certain circumstances, and if you don't have them off the top of your head. Like, for example, if these cards were to be moved maybe down here, I know it wouldn't look as nice on the UI, or, you know, maybe if there was an option to pull the UI back up. Like, I can't really cancel out of this without selecting one. So I'm going to go Blades for the hell of it, but it would be nice to be able to actually look at current stats there. And yeah, she is a leadership build, so probably can go leadership spec on her. Now she's all the way up to 25 leadership, and we'll go Chris. Ooh, we have Illusionist. Okay. So Illusionist is kind of like the, kind of like the Acolyte there, in that they're a class that specializes in only doing one thing. So in this case, the Illusionist is somebody that ruins the accuracy entirely of the opposite party. And it can be potentially absolutely busted. There we go, we'll give her this stuff, not that it really matters too much, because yeah, she's, well, let's see, she's got a, this is when we'll be able to test it, actually. Let's go ahead and give her this Blade Ring. So, the Dazzle thing, I guess that's just the amount that it reduces their accuracy, so I guess 105% or something like that. Either way, once they're hit by an Illusionist, usually a party will be completely blind. Yeah, F58 to Illusionist is absurd. Like, that's seriously the most absurdly OP thing I've seen. Wow. OP thing I've seen in SRPG, period. But yeah, these Illusionists are a bit different, as you can probably tell. They're more of a, like, they basically go and ruin everyone's accuracy with illusions, rather than they can go and ruin everything. So yeah, let's see, increases the duration of status effects. Probably wouldn't be too useful on her. She's going dual light weapons, so I'm going physical defense on her. Let's go two-hand spec, just in case, you know, she does get something heavier later. And we'll go red, because that should just scale up all her abilities pretty well. And yeah, so she's, like, for example, to give you an idea of how this works, she's getting 120 off her basic attack, and then it's just, like, it's 32 that comes from your right hand, and 8 that comes from the left, which may usually go down to 1, you know, it varies. This guy didn't get a level. This cleric did. She might be able to become one of them acolyte-type situations. Alright, so necromancy, sure. That allows us to make skeletons. Healing burst, very yes. Allows her to still heal as other classes. Ooh, and secondary healing burst as well, so now she can heal twice. Let's get system. Now let's go ahead and go for, yeah, she's already a master acolyte, but I want to be able to have one on the team, so I'm gonna forego probably a level of perks for her. There we go. So we're gonna go for something like that. Probably just leave her with the regular healing pouch instead of the satchel, because the satchel is a little bit better of a healing boosting item. That's perfectly fine. Then our Tinker here, who might be able to become a gunner. Are you gonna get guns? We've got leadership, sure. She's not built for leadership, but I'll take it. Smithing, sure. And gunner, here we go. Kind of got an engineering there. Engineering and stuff like that, that's, I believe that's for making, like, crossbows and upgraded guns and things like that. So, weapon upgrades in general. Okay, what else? We got, let's go warrior here. Let's see, she's an adventurer. I think they count as black. I'm not sure. Forester, so she can go ranged in the future as soon as she gets this class maxed out. I like to generally max them out of their first class, because it opens up a few class options, it gives them some pretty good stats. It's kind of a very dry way to do it, but, you know, it's just my personal preference for getting them set up. So we're going to get a few cadets down the line, by the way, here. Let's go Keen Strike, makes them more likely to crit. Let's go Charisma. I don't know why he's a Grifter that's able to use a Sledgehammer, by the way. And then Surprise Attack, so he's able to counter. Alright. I think that's what that is. I probably should have read it. I know there is one of their abilities is to counter. Okay. Let's see, we got Forester for you. Fair enough. What else? Let's go Green, sure, if they're a Forester. Lets them specialize in green stuff a little bit more, and marksmanship. Sure. So they can go ahead and actually swap out, because they got 3 cards that are good for a particular job. They're going to go naked for just a sec. Go ahead and give them some stuff. Yeah, let's give you this, this. And that's probably all they need. They got what they need to do their job, and I'm sure they'll do it all right. Next up, we got this chick. By the way, I'm pretty sure in the future this whole process will be faster. Just so you know. Like, I'm very confident that it'll end up being faster in the future. Alright, axe specialization, sure. And Berserker, sure. Let's go ahead and change you into one of those. Get a little bit more damage going. Yeah, Berserkers are, as far as I've seen, the bread and butter dual-wielding class. They tend to get a bit more out of it than some others. Yeah, let's go double axes on her. Yeah, we got a helmet, no pants. Oh well. Hopefully you like the breeze. Next up, yeah, wolf is fine. Fine, I think that's every... Oh, nope, Beat Hag. Still can't believe her name is Beat Hag. That sounds... suspicious. Alright, so Grifter, yeah, surprise attack for you as well. I probably should have gone Illusionist there, because I don't know if I'll get that card next. Keen Strike, sure. Make her better with those knives. And Rogue, why not? So she got what I wanted to get out of Grifter for her, so I'm going to change her into a Rogue. Basically a upgraded, more focused version of the Grifter. So we'll do that. Get Jerkin, give you a couple knives. There we go. And I think their main thing is that they scale dark a little bit better. But again, you know, it varies. It varies. I don't know the absolute ins and outs of each one, but it's a pretty freeform thing. So far I'm finding that you don't really need to know the full ins and outs of everything. You can kind of just eyeball it. Okay, so that area is still a little bit blocked off. That's where we came from. Let's go this way. Because what I want to do is find one of those traveling caravans of sorts. Because at the end of this whole area, there's... Actually, come to think of it, we have to go to the desert for that traveling caravan, don't we? Yeah, this area is one big, like, whatever units survive, they're going to get strong as hell kind of thing. Then you've got a couple areas where you can craft yourself some new followers. Like you can use Druidry and all that to get a few extra units. And then... Whoops, I accidentally muted it. Okay, so... went ahead and took a little bit of a rest, so... That's what we got here. Caravan? No, wait. We do have caravans out here, so this is perfectly fine. Okay, so we got the Candle and Sword Camp. That's new, I think. I think this is... I'm pretty sure this is different from before, because, yeah, you would just go into that. So, I guess there's something new now. But there's this big old barrier. There's a bit of a difference before. Okay, so we're going to give it a second to load the caravan. If you're wondering what the rest was for, by the way, basically get better XP rates, and you generally fight better when you're rested. So, yeah. Come on, caravan. Yeah, the caravans take a hot minute to load. But they're the ones that end up giving you more dudes. Like this guy over here is like, check it out, I'm a knight. Would you like to hire some cadets? Hell yeah. So let's get 2 of each, I think. One to give me 2. There we go, 2. Actually, no, let's get 3, why not? Right, 3. And then we're going to go to the shop, because this is the shop that I remember having a few extra goodies. So, that's what we're going to do. It would be nice to be able to zoom in this area, by the way. Just on a bit of a side note. The Bekdo Kobin. We'll pick up one of those. Flintlock for our gunner. This. Let's see, intellect, will, blue, bronze, and marksmanship. Yeah, so I think that's for gunners. Got a green hood for the archer. Maybe you can go save Star City. Lieutenant breastplate, that seems fancy. We'll pick up one of those, and we get Obsidian axes. Those are pretty strong. Recurve bows. Yeah, there's a bunch of stuff to pick up at this point. The Zweihander and all that. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff. So they give you all that money for a reason. There's a bunch of stuff I can actually sell, though. And thankfully it's pretty quick to sell stuff. I really do not need so many claymores. Really don't need so many cursed arming swords or short bows. Go ahead and get rid of that. Don't need so many hand axes. And only need so many sticks and daggers and stuff, so... Yep, made a little bit of money back. So we're gonna do, pick up... we do on the double axe. Yeah, pick up a couple daggers. Let's see... Blah-bee-ba-doo? What the hell? It's weird looking, but I'm gonna get it. Pointy wizard hat. Get a second obsidian axe. Sharpshooter coat for the gunner. And let's say a Zwei? Sure. That works, so we'll go with all that stuff. 3 cadets? Yes. Those are these guys over here. So they come in with armor and swords and everything. They've got proper equipment. It's funny because previously they used to come in with bows. So anyway, yeah. So they're properly equipped now, or not bows, but robes. So they actually have a ranged attack. Like it's basically the laser sword from Zelda. So that's what they come in with. And then if you have a knight that's trained up, you can potentially give a bonus. That's all cadets in the team. So that's why you'd want to go ahead and use those together. And there's a few synergy options like that. So it's nice. It's nice. Now, equipment-wise, yeah, you potentially got some stuff. Yeah, there we go. Give you that stuff, so you're a little bit dressed. Where did I have a berserker? You there. You look pretty berserk. So we're actually just gonna... got heavy... Let's give you this. Upgrade you a little bit. Yeah, their actual model doesn't change between some of these, so, you know, as you can probably tell. Helmet you already have. I don't know why I can't see my obsidian axes. I just picked up a bunch of those. Yeah, I think we're having an obsidian axe again. Bug again. This is one that actually had occurred previously, wherein you'd get the obsidian axes, but you wouldn't get the obsidian axes. And that definitely seems like what just happened. So, you know. It happens. It happens. And yeah, I can never look at this without hearing the, if you've ever heard Beast in Black. I can never look at the name Berserker without hearing Berserker! Ah, man. Yeah, Beast in Black, what was it called? I forget. I forget the exact name of the thing. Like, I think it literally was. The band name was Beast in Black, and I think the song was called the same, actually. Because it was a song about Berserk. Like, it's exactly what it sounds like. Alright, Peloton. Got a heavy hammer for you? I guess not. Whatever. Fine. It kind of feels like this is going to become a regular thing, where I'm just going to go ahead and end episodes on a bug. It happens. I mean, again, that's the point of these tests, just so we're totally clear on that. Like, that's exactly the point. So I'm going to leave them with that basic dagger in the other hand, just because they're barely doing any damage with it anyway. So you might as well leave their offhand as it is. And, alright, so with that, I'm going to go ahead and call it for today. So, thank you for stopping by. And, yeah, have a fantastic day. Take care.